Welcome back, everybody, to another wonderful episode of the Any Given Day podcast, your place for all things college football. I'm Zach. That's Hunter. Um, as of right now, it's 11:41 on March 5th, the year of our Lord 2024. So we're gonna jump right into this. UMass is heading to the MAC as soon as 2025. It's definitely a move. It's not the most exciting move, but it's a move. About the only thing they're good for is a little Tuesday night Mac. That's about all they're good for. So, what are
Hey,
your
who doesn't
thoughts?
love the Tuesday night? Who doesn't love the Tuesday night action? So I'll be honest. I'm kind of excited for it. They've been independent for a while now. Now all of a sudden they've got a conference they're in. Everyone's heading towards conference. Unless you're uppity like Notre Dame. Um, but that's really neither here nor there. They're built on that and the tradition of being independent, which is whatever. It's something they hang their hat on. Props to them. Not much else to really say about it.
All right. Next big thing that is slowly ruining college football as we know it. All these different things that could be coming to college football as soon as next year. Helmet communications, tablets on the sideline / halftime, and the worst of all, a 2-minute warning could be coming to college football all next year. I'm all right with the helmet communications. All right, I'm all right with the tablets on the sidelines. It's not going to get rid of signs because if you're trying to run hurry up, there's still going to be signs on the sideline. You're not going to be able to communicate
Oh God, yeah.
to 11 different players if you're trying to run hurry up. But it's there. It's nice. Tablets, whatever, cool. The 2-minute warning is where I have a problem. First, they take away the clock stopping on first downs, which was iconic in college football for years, for basically my entire life. It's been a staple of college football. You get a first down, the clock stops until the sticks are set. Then they get rid of that last year. Now they're going to add 2-minute warnings, which I guess you kind of need if you're not going to stop the clock on first downs. I'm just upset that basically college is turning into the NFL with all these different rule changes. Personally, how do you feel about it?
This is just another way for them to get more ads so that they can get more money. At the end of the day, that's what this is. It's a cash grab. Because if they actually listen to the fans, if they were actually listening to the fans, that wouldn't be implemented. I get the helmet communications. Those are probably going to get cut off around 15 seconds. That's kind of been like the universal time frame that they've said, or that you've heard people say, around 15 seconds is when they should get cut off, and you won't be able to hear anything from there on out from the coaches. But just the 2-minute warning is the thing that ticks me off the most, because we don't need that. I don't want to go and have to sit through more commercials. It's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, you see that right there, right? If I watch, especially when Georgia, for example, obviously us being Georgia fans, that's my experience really watching college football with ads. If you get a CBS game, it is, I mean, it feels like there's, a commercial break about every 5-10 minutes. You get you get a couple plays in commercial break, and then there's timeouts, and now it's just basically an extra timeout. So it's just less football and more ads, which I get that that's how these companies make money broadcasting these games, and they got to survive too. But it comes to a point where it's ridiculous with how many ads we're having to watch to just watch a college football game.
I'll never forget the first college football game. Well, not the first college football game I went to, but like the first televised one that would end up being on TV. It was actually a Georgia versus Tennessee, and Matthew Stafford's last year over at Georgia. Him and Coach Juan Marino, their last year. And I'll never forget they just took a random timeout. The officials just signaled for a random timeout, right? I'm like, what? And it's like, they announced, oh, this is a TV timeout. I was like, what? I looked up and I'm like, what's that? And he's like, oh, yeah, no, they're going to commercial break. That happens sometimes at these bigger sporting events. And it's like, what?
Yeah,
Stupid.
it's just dumb. All right, moving on to a more salty note. Arch Manning has decided to opt out of the new college football video game, wanting to focus on football. That is the dumbest excuse I have ever heard in my entire life. Just say that $600 and a copy of college football video game is not enough for you. Why are we sitting here and acting like you being in a college football video game is going to prevent you from succeeding on a football field? He's acting like if he gets injured in the game, he's injured in real life. Get over it. Get over it. And you know what? The thing is, for anybody playing Dynasty, I'm not going to give a rat's ass, excuse me for cussing, pardon the language, whether he's in this video game or not.
Oh, my.
Because in 4 years, or three years, I guess, by the time this game comes out, he's not going to be on the team anymore. Boo-hoo. Who cares? Get over yourself. Acting like wanting to focus on football is a good reason for you to opt out of this game. Just say the money wasn't enough for you and you're a crybaby. You may talk now.
I was like, daggum, you're going in. I don't really know how to feel about this. I could care less whether or not he's in or out of the game, but I just, for trying to keep your focus on the football now, not have any distractions outside, you've caused a pretty big distraction by doing this. You're like the first player, and as far as I know, the only player to openly opt out instead of just being like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna be in the game. But then again, for all we know, maybe he quietly opted out, but then someone got a hold of him and was like, oh my gosh, Arch Manning's not opting in. What's happening here? So it could very well be blown out of proportions. I don't know the kid. I don't know him, but
to me, it just seems like a bullcrap excuse. Like, it would be one thing if he just said, I wanted more money, they wouldn't give me more money. Whatever, I can accept that. Yeah. My problem isn't that he's not in the game. Obviously, it sucks for Texas fans, because if you're a Texas fan, you want to be able to have, Quinn Ewers for this first year and then build the dynasty on with Arch Manning as your quarterback. Now you're going to have a randomly generated player.
Mm-hmm.
But my problem isn't that he's not in the game. My problem is that he comes up with this bullcrap excuse of, I want to focus on football. Like, him being a video game is going to prevent him from focusing on football. I mean, all he has to do is opt in, and then he doesn't have to worry about it. He doesn't have to play it. He doesn't have to do anything else for it. So it just seems like a bullcrap excuse to me, and that's my main problem with it. Like I said, I could care less whether he's in the game or not.
Yeah, I get it.
The excuse is what irks me. Yeah.
Moving on.
Devin Brown made a comment recently, and Hunter, why don't you read us that comment?
Yeah, I don't even think you know actually the full quote.
I don't.
So he was basically asked about whether or not he would, why he didn't transfer, or I'm pretty sure it was why he didn't transfer instead of if he's considering to transfer. But anyways, his response is, and I quote, I think people are cowards. I think people have this thought in their head that I'm going to leave, that I'm a quitter. That's never been me. These people live in their mom's basement and don't know shit about me. Pardon the French.
I love it. Listen, we've had these conversations before, and you know how I feel about kids transferring willy-nilly all over the place. We need more of this. in college football. Kids willing to stick it out and fight and not just transferring at the first sign of any adversary. Like I love that of him. Just to stick it out and not just leave at the first sign of anybody coming in behind him, and everybody's talking about, oh, Aaron Nolan, Julian saying, he needs to leave. They're going to start over him. I love that he's willing to stay and fight and try and win that job and keep that job. So I personally love it.
Yeah, no, it's commendable. You don't see it that. Well, I'm not gonna say you don't see it that often anymore. Like, but for someone who's having a 5-star come in this recruiting class, and then all of a sudden having a second 5-star from the same recruiting class who came in early over at Alabama, then head coach Saban left from over there to go off into the sunset into retirement. And he's like, well, I don't want to play for this guy because this guy thinks their guy that they got can beat me out for some reason in the system and probably isn't going to give me a fair shake. So potentially that's kind of how I viewed it.
Right.
And now has decided to also transfer up to Ohio State after being enrolled over at Alabama for, a month? Probably.
Yeah, it's about a month.
So it's not the best situation, but he does have the fact that he is the veteran in that room. He knows that offense better than them right now. So, dude's not afraid of competition, and I like that.
No, yeah, I love it. All right. Next up, obviously, we talked a little bit about the Tennessee and Virginia lawsuits against the NCAA last week, I believe.
Yep.
It's a little bit more news coming out of that. And the NCAA is pausing all NIL-related investigations involving collectives in response to those lawsuits. Yeah.
I need to make a slight correction from last week, by the way.
Okay.
Apparently, it's not just the schools in Virginia and Tennessee that don't have to abide by it. It is a nationwide thing.
Really? Okay.
So yeah, it's Wild West, baby. I was wrong. I own up to it. I admit it.
Yeah, I thought I read somewhere it was only Virginia and Tennessee too, so not entirely your fault. There may have been some misinformation spread across all of the internet, to be completely honest. So
we're all learning as we go.
Yeah, I mean, like we said last week, we're not going to go too deep into it. Obviously, we talked a lot about what this all means, but like we said many times before, this is going to destroy college football as we know it if it continues and goes through the way that we think it will. But obviously, them having to pause the investigations, that's probably a given at this point. Being in the middle of a lawsuit, they don't want to add anything on top of what's already there or any ammo for them to have. So, I mean, it's kind of a given at this point.
Yeah, it kind of sucks because, dude, it's gonna be weird. It's gonna be wacky. It's going to be crazy over the next, I'd say, year, probably. So,
yeah, it's probably going to take about a year to get this all figured out. And, the courts move about as slow as they possibly can. So,
the NCAA didn't already move slow enough. Now we got to go and involve the courts too. Right?
Yeah, this is going to be a ongoing thing. You're going to hear lots about it from us, I'm sure, over the coming year. So, just be prepared.
Buckle in.
Yeah.
Buckle in.
Next up, obviously the NFL Combine has been happening this week, and me and Hunter have comprised our lists of our top Combine standouts at each of the position groups. So I'll let you start it off, Hunter, and we'll just go back and forth, and we'll name our top Combine standouts.
Yeah. So, and we might agree on quite a few, I'd say.
Yeah.
It's gonna be Well, no, it's not going to be anything really. I know I've got a few honorable mentions to add in next to like some positions, right? So like I think we both agree on the defensive line, Braden Fisk.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, defensive line from FSU, dudes about 6'5", 292, a little bit lighter than what you'd want to see on the interior of a defensive line, but dude's got 31-inch arms. Ran a
Yeah.
4.78 40, 33.5-inch vertical, 9'9" broad. Dude showed out. From my understanding, he basically solidified himself as a day 2 pick. Not even a day 2 pick, a second rounder, more
Yeah.
than likely.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, obviously, Braid Fisk seemed like at the combine the most talented interior defensive lineman or defensive lineman in general. Obviously, the size is a bit of concern. He's not going to fit with some NFL teams in their scheme. Byron Murphy is that prototypical size, so he'll probably be the first defensive lineman off the board. He'll probably go in the first round, but Braden Fisk has shown at least this week to be the most talented of the defensive linemen. Obviously, that size is a little bit of a concern.
Yeah. But even then,
I shouldn't say concern's a little bit too strong of a word, but
no. Well, yeah, technically yes, but I don't know why I was saying no there.
it's definitely not a concern. It's just it's not going to fit with some team scheme. So
yeah, but even then, you got to think a lot of these guys slim down for this.
Yeah,
the linemen do. The linemen typically
especially
slim down for this, whereas depending on the situation, the quarterbacks, receivers, running backs, they bulk up.
Yeah.
So, because Bryce Young, like, he bulked up going into it last year. That way, everyone was like, "Oh, maybe he can take the hits." Braden Fisk might have slimmed down so he could go and give his best, for all we know. But yeah, like you said, Braden Fisk really stood out. Byron Murphy also stood out, but he was supposed to.
Right.
And before we move on, low be it for me to be the one to go and be a Debbie Downer and all that. I get some people were really happy to see T'Vondre Sweat at 366 run a 5.27 40. But if you want an interior defensive lineman, like if you want to be amazed by a 40, it's nothing. And it might just be a bit of my bias, but it's still nothing compared to Jordan Davis a few years ago when he ran a 3.78 officially at 340.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I look at that and I look at T'Vondre Sweat and I'm like, there's a difference. Now I'll also say T'Vondre Sweat could probably beat me in a 40-yard dash. So like I'm not going to even attempt that.
Right.
But like actually that might be a good punishment.
I'm not running a 40-yard dash.
You coward.
I don't run. Just so we're on the same page.
Fair enough. Anyways, do I think T'Vondre Sweat will be a good NFL player? Maybe. I'm not entirely sure.
He has the potential to be, but potential is just that, potential.
He's just going to be a run clogger. I know that. Like,
yeah,
unless he cuts some weight, which I guarantee you they'll have him try to cut weight. But anyways, moving on to the linebackers, which also include outside linebackers and edge rushers. I think we're both, once again, agree. Dallas Turner,
yeah. I mean,
he's a freak.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I know the word freak is thrown around a lot at these combines, but if anybody deserves it, it's Dallas Turner. That dude is a freak. and he's basically solidified himself as at the very least a top 15 pick, if not top 10. So
I'd say he's top edge in this class.
Easily, yeah.
Dude ran a 4.46 40 at 246 pounds. That's crazy, you know?
Yeah.
So, and honorable mention to Chop Robinson. You know, a lot of people say he's like average, like in height and like arm length and all that, but dude's actually really, really athletic. And I'll say right now, he falls to the second round, someone's getting a steal.
Yeah.
That's just my thoughts, though. Who'd you have at the defensive back spot?
Terry and Arnold. I mean, seems like a bit of a given pick, but he really lit it up this year. He had really good drills. He was good.
Yeah.
So yeah. Who did you have?
I had Cole Bishop, safety from Utah.
Okay.
The dude flipping dominated. Like he was cleaning house in those drills until he pulled like a hammy at the very end of the pass gauntlet thing. So,
I gotcha.
But before that, he hit 4.45 40, and a 39-inch vert as well. Dude's like athletic.
Yeah.
As all get out, and I'll just go ahead and let y'all know, with a name like Cole Bishop, he's he's tan, not pale white like I am, but like the fact that this dude was doing doing this stuff, you don't see it that often. Like you don't see safeties like him that often. Not to mention he's 6'2", 206. Dude could come down and be an enforcer. Could be a really good strong safety for all we know. It's just it's definitely cool to see every now and then.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of defense backs, anyone who thinks Cooper DeJean needs to be moved to safety is stupid.
Yes, he's not. He would not be a good safety. I mean, he'd be a decent safety, I guess.
Oh, he'd be a great safety. It's just like, dude can play corner.
He's really great at corner. I mean, there's no reason to move him out of that spot unless it's just a need.
Yeah.
Or a want, rather, if it's not a need. If you just happen to have a wealth of riches over there, yeah, you could move him, but why would you?
Yep. Moving on to tight end.
I have a Dallin Holker. I don't know if anybody or everybody saw this, but he was doing one of the drills and thought the drill was over. Still, yeah, he was doing the gauntlet, and he still had the football in his hand. They threw the last pass. He caught that one-handed, carrying 2 footballs to the end of the drill. It was just athletic.
Oh, yeah, no.
Just pure athlete.
Fair enough. Fair enough on that. My tight end standout is Tip Ryman. Now, anyone who has actually done their research on this kid, they know that. I cannot believe I'm fixing to say this on this podcast. He does not believe birds are real because he's never seen a baby pigeon.
Now that I think of it.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know if I've ever seen a baby pigeon either. Have you?
I mean, I've never seen a baby pigeon, but I know birds are real. He thinks they're like robots and like the power lines are charging stations. It's like crazy. But that's neither here nor there. Which is hilarious. My dad had a better look than what you had when I told him that. He just had this, like, he was offended look. Anyways, the dude is 6'5", 271 pounds, out of Illinois. He ran a 4.64 40. He looked solid in the gauntlet, not as good as Holker, but the dude's a former captain former walk-on turned captain. And whereas Holker looked really good looked solid in the gauntlet,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Tip won the sled drills, the blocking drills, and that's what stood out to me the most is how well he did in that.
Right.
Because scouts, GMs, coaches, they see that. They're going to say, there's our guy. Because
Yeah.
you might not be a Sam Laporta or a Tony Gonzalez or a Travis Kelce, but dude, blocking tight ends, they last a long time in the league.
Yeah.
So, like, I think that will go and definitely get him drafted. So, I thought it was a really good one.
I
Moving on
agree.
to
Hold on. Before you
running.
move on, that's a baby pigeon. Just so we're on the same page, baby pigeons are real.
Baby pigeons are real.
Baby
Tip
pigeons are
Ryman is
real.
wrong.
Baby pigeons are real. Just so we're on the same page, pigeons are not robots.
To be fair, there was a kid from Texas Tech, an engineering school, who thought that space does not exist.
Oh, Lord.
The kid went to an engineering school.
Moving on
And
to
running
running
back.
backs. I have Jalen Wright. He had a lot of good. He did really good in a lot of the drills. So I, I think Jalen Wright has potential. As much as it pains me him being a Tennessee guy, I think he has potential to be a pretty good running back in the NFL. I don't know if he'll be first one of the first five off the board. He could be one of the first five off the board after this combine. So I think he has a lot of potential.
Yeah. I think someone who really showed out and I would say overall won the combine at their position, running back wise, is Isaac Guerendo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I stuttered with Isaac the first time through. A running back from Louisville, dude, 6 foot, 221 pounds, right? Ran a 4.33 40, had a 1.55 10-yard split, a 41.5-inch vertical, and a 10'9" broad jump. And that's not to even mention how well he did in those drills.
Yeah.
A lot of people left the combine thinking, "Oh, that kid might be
Right.
hey." So I say he really impressed a lot of people. Lord knows he impressed me.
Yeah.
Doesn't take that much to do that though, but still. Moving on, quarterback. We're both agreeing on this one. JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
I'd make the argument mainly because he's really the only one who truly stood out. Just
Yeah.
no one else really stepped up.
No, I mean Penix did what Penix does. He's making the same throws he's been making all year, so he didn't necessarily impress anything. It was just acknowledgement of what we already knew. Bo Nix looked good, but basically JJ McCarthy was a more athletic Bo Nix. Deep passes were beautiful. Little inaccurate on those medium passes, but nothing that can't be coached up. So
Yeah.
I think JJ McCarthy has been the biggest riser probably since this combine. I mean, obviously going in, I know on this show anyways, whenever he declared, we're thinking this dude's a 4th round pick, maybe a chance to sneak in the 2nd round, and now he's being talked about as like a top 10 pick possibly. So
yeah. I've even seen some people say he might have taken the 3rd QB spot.
Over who? Drake May?
Drake May or Jaden Daniels. I don't know. Like with this draft, it's Caleb Williams is number 1.
Yep.
Unless the Bears are just like, you know what? We do not want to deal with your dad, and we're going to take someone else. which would be a huge mistake because I don't think they want to risk it on another quarterback from North Carolina.
Nope.
But it's basically Caleb Williams is a lock at 1, and then no one's got a clue. No one has a clue about who is going at number 2. It's either going to be Daniels or May. At first, it was like, oh, May's a lock. And then all of a sudden, Daniels did what he did this year. But now you're having constant back and forths. Oh, May's arm motion is weird. It's slow. It's a slow release. But Daniels does not avoid getting hit, and as small of a as he is weight wise, like he could end up getting injured a lot. So I don't know which way these teams are going to go. I really don't. I don't know who number 2 is. I don't know who number 3 is. I don't know who number 4 is.
Yeah.
It all depends on what they value. So
yeah, I mean, and you said it there with Jaden Daniels and the size being concerned. J.J. McCarthy has the size and weight to be a very good NFL quarterback. His measurables are there.
Not just that. He knows when to slide. He knows when to not take the hit. That's Daniels' problem right there. He doesn't know when to go out of bounds or slide so he can avoid getting hit.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously that can be taught as well. I mean, it's just, hey, get down, kid. In the NFL, in what could possibly be an 18-game season, you can't be taking hits like this every week and expect to stay healthy and not get injured. So,
I mean, look at what happened to Anthony Richardson, and he's so much more bulkier and more of a tank than Daniels is. What's going to happen to him?
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on. I think we're both agreeing on wide receiver, Ladd McConkey, Georgia. And before we get into Ladd, let's also go and bring up like 2 Texas wide receivers, and I also had a South Carolina wide receiver who actually impressed me. The 2 Texas wide receivers, Xavier Worthy, he broke the combine record for the 40. He officially beat John Ross's record of 4.22 with a 4.21. A.D. Mitchell, the other Texas receiver, he had a 4.35 for his 40. Not to mention, just you look at that dude, he's the number 1 receiver. Like, I don't care what people say. I get Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, those guys are like the consensus favorites. But I would be shocked if A.D. Mitchell falls out of the first round. I do view him as like a late number 1 and a steal at that.
Yeah.
The other one is Xavier Leggett. Dude is 6'3", 227, and ran a 4.39. Big body receiver who's fast.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, he'll be really good in the NFL too.
Yeah. I think look, if the Falcons got him in the second, I would not be mad.
Oh no.
So, like, let me put it that way. But Ladd McConkey, which the whitest name you know right there, Ladd McConkey. 4.39 40, 1.52 10-yard split. Dude had balance, quick feet, strong hands. I don't care what anyone says, that dude's a first rounder.
Should be.
He really should be.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if Ladd McConkey was 6'3", 6'3", 220, 210, you're talking about him being up there with Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors in terms of just pure talent. But because Ladd McConkey's 5'9", 180, something like that. 5'11", 180, something like that. Yeah. So
5'11", 190, I think, is what.
190.
Yeah.
So like because he's in that body, it's that's why he's not probably going to go in the first round. I could see him being maybe a late first, early second round pick
Yep.
just because of his size. But dude is an elite route runner. If you watched, the gauntlet that he went through, it was it looked like poetry, and it was just beautiful. So,
Yeah. See, dude's always been quick. He's always had control. He's always had good hands. I'd say his route running really came on over at Georgia because he was always athletic. He was athletic when he was at North Murray. This is a dude. See, they want to. You see all these people going and criticizing and saying, "Oh, Georgia can't develop wide receivers." Look at Lad McConkey. Dude was a 3-star who only had an actual legit offer, D1 offer from Georgia coming out of high school until like late in his recruiting process. Dude has openly stated had Tennessee, he grew up a Tennessee fan, and had Tennessee offered him earlier, he would have gone to Tennessee. But by the time they decided to offer him, which was like, I think 3 weeks out from commitment, from signing day, I don't know why I was thinking commitment day, from signing day, he was like, it's too late, I'm going to Georgia. And that's where he went. He went there as a 3-star with one D1 offer, one legit D1 offer. Now he's possibly going to be a late first, early second. I don't care what anyone says. Georgia can develop anyone at any position. If you put the time and effort in, they will find a way to develop you. So, congrats, Lad. Congrats to AD. Congrats to Xavier Worthy. Congrats to Xavier Leggett. Congrats to all the guys we've talked about already. But yeah, I think we need to move on to the offensive line.
Yeah, I have Amarius Mims. Just to watch what this dude did at his size and the 40 and all the other drills, it's just super impressive to me. And I think he has potential to be an elite offensive tackle at the next level.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do feel the same way. They're just kind of worried about the lack of starts. He only had 8 starts in college, mainly to do with the ankle injury, but it is what it is at this point. The dude still ran a 5.07.40 at 6'7", 3/4, and 340 pounds, which still not as impressive as big old JD a few years ago. It's gonna be anytime like a 6'6" dude at 340 runs a 4.78. It's gonna be impressive.
Yeah.
Anyways, Amarius Mims is yours. Mine is actually Tanner Bordellini. He's a center from Wisconsin. Dude's 6'4" and a quarter. Had to make sure I got crap handwriting. He weighs 303 pounds, and then he ran a 4.9440 with a 1.69 10-yard split. The dude's got good balance, good body control in the pass protection. I will honestly say, with the way he looked in the drills, I'd say he's probably going to be the third center off the board if people are smart. Who knows? He might have shot ahead of SVP, Cedric Von Pron Granger, because Cedric didn't exactly have the best combine. Who knows? They could go, he could go and he could show out at the pro day, and that's all the scouts and people, that's all they'll remember, is him showing out at the pro day.
Yeah.
So we'll see, but I think Tanner Bordellini definitely put his name up there in contention. And all of a sudden, you've got the Philadelphia who basically looking for his center now. So, yeah. I think that's all we got.
That it?
I think that's it for the combine.
All right. Next up, everybody's favorite segment, Yeet or No
A
Yeet.
second favorite segment, I think.
Listen, we've only have one episode of the other segment. It can't be the favorite yet.
I think it'll be the favorite after this week.
Possibly. All right. This first one's going to fall flat because we've already discussed this, and I didn't think you would discuss this. Question number 1, or statement, rather. J.J. McCarthy will be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft this year.
Ooh. Oh, pass.
No Yeet.
No. It's not yeet or no yeet. It's pass. I don't know.
You can't pass. You can't pass. You got to take a
I'm
guess.
choosing to pass on this one because
What's your gut feeling? I will not accept a pass.
my gut feeling is I don't know. Like
Well, I need a yes or no.
I won't know until like probably a month from now.
Well, what's your best guess?
I would say my best guess with everything I've seen so far today, technically yesterday at this point, whatever. Semantics is that if the Falcons get Kirk Cousins and the Patriots do decide they need to draft a quarterback, if the Falcons get Kirk Cousins, I could see them going and drafting J.J. McCarthy and having him sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year or two or however long Kirk Cousins is there. In fact, I would think that would arguably be the dream scenario.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, yes, I could see him going there. In the situation where they are not able to get Kirk Cousins and they go Justin Fields, or even worse, they do decide to draft a quarterback and say I don't know why people think New England's going to get a quarterback. I really don't. I need to give Mac Jones a chance in this under Gerard Mayo, but that's just my thoughts. We're not a pro football podcast. We're a college football podcast. Getting onto that. Screw it. I'll say yeet. Fine.
All right.
You're forcing me into that one. I'm not happy with that one.
Yeah, you're either going to look like a genius or an idiot in about a month. So, statement number 2. Colorado will have a winning season this year.
No yeet.
You don't think they even have a shot? Not in the Big 12?
No.
Okay. Number 3. This one's a little bit of a stinger, okay? 2020 Bama was a better team than the 2021 Georgia team.
I mean, you have framed this one perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Either I look like a dumbass for saying that a COVID year team was better than that team, or I look like a homer for picking my team. It's hard to tell. First off, because you can't just line them up against each other, right? You can't. It was impossible. That defense did not start clicking that way for Georgia until 2021, right? Not to mention just how weird that year was, 2020. COVID year. Everyone was talking after that year, oh my gosh, it's offenses are the only way to win championships now, and then immediately Georgia's like, nah, screw y'all. Defense. So, no yeet. I'll take 2021 Georgia over a lot of teams. Not just because of that defense, but because of who they had at quarterback. Stetson was not he was not the biggest. He does not have the strongest arm, stronger than people gave him credit for. Deceptively quick. But the dude was a winner at heart, okay? So, you find, plus, I'm sorry, but if Javon had seen Devontae Smith come over the middle, or anything of the sort,
Yeah. All right. The last one, more of a question than a statement. Not exactly a serious question. I'm going to do a little bit of plug here. Are you excited for MLB The Show 24 dropping on all platforms March 17th?
So, I mean, technically, yes, but I'm still kind of wrapped up in a previous game right now. Not to mention, I was really bummed when Acuna wasn't the cover athlete. I'm not even going to lie. So I was like...
I think I was too. But neither here nor there.
I mean, you could have at least put Julio Rodriguez on there instead of Vladdy. Vladdy sucked this past year. I'm sorry, he was not cover athlete worthy this year.
No, he wasn't.
And that was your last one, right?
That was.
Which means we're going to my favorite segment, the blind draft.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week I am going to have him blind rank college quarterbacks, top college quarterbacks. Only their collegiate careers.
Okay.
So.
How many? Is there 5?
5, like normal.
Okay.
Number 1. Well, not your number 1, but like first name I'm bringing up. Matt Leinart.
He had a good college career.
Oh, yeah.
He had a really good college career.
Oh, yeah.
Crappy NFL career, but a really good college career.
Mm-hmm.
How many championships did they win?
2. Let me double check that real quick. Shouldn't take that long. Matt Leinart has... Let's see. He has 2 AP national championships. Oh.
Okay.
2 AP, but only 1 BCS national championship. They won the AP national championship back in 2003, but they didn't play for it in the BCS. So, do you want me to list off some more highlights and awards?
Did he ever win the Heisman?
Yes, 2004.
How many? Just one?
There's only one 2-time winner, and that's Eddie George. I think that's Eddie George. Now I'm doubting myself.
I think you're right. I'm stuck between 2 right now. You had to throw Matt Leinart out at 1. That's a bummer.
Nope, it's Archie Griffin. Archie Griffin is it?
He's the only one to win 2?
Yeah. I was thinking Ohio State. I'm stupid.
I'm going to put Matt Leinart at... Oh. 2.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. Next one up, Peyton Manning.
4.
Wow, okay. Okay. Joe Burrow.
That was a really good team in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
That was his only good year, really.
He started showing flashes the year before.
Yeah, but he didn't have like a fantastic. He did win a Heisman. Did Peyton Manning ever win a Heisman?
No.
3.
Baker Mayfield.
I did back myself into a corner.
Yep.
5.
Wow. You have somehow worked this perfectly. In my opinion. Because the next one up is Cam Newton.
1. Easily.
This is twice in a row that you have lucked. Now, granted,
It's not luck. It's not luck. It's skill. Although I do believe Baker probably should have been in front of Peyton.
if we're going based on college alone, yes, which is what this is. So you still kind of look on it. Only former walk-on to ever win the Heisman, and you ranked him 5.
I mean, he didn't have a fantastic call. He had one good year.
Oh, dear.
And never won a national championship. Neither did Peyton Manning, though. And Baker does have a Heisman, and Peyton doesn't. So there's that. Peyton probably should have been 5, but
that's why I put him in when I did. I think that's all.
Matt Leinert's the only one on here that wasn't a number 1 overall pick, right?
Ooh, that's where did he go?
I don't think he was number 1 overall. He was in the first round, I think. I don't think he was 1. He might have been.
First round, 10th overall pick.
10th overall. Because Cam Newton was 1, Burrow was 1, Peyton Manning was 1, and Mayfield was 1.
Yeah, I remember Baker was actually a pretty shocker. Yeah, Mario Williams was the number 1 overall pick to Houston.
And Matt Leinert's here?
Yep. Number 2, Reggie Bush, obviously. Number 3 was Vince Young.
Okay.
I
can see that.
Number 4, DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
God. I hadn't heard that name in forever.
Number 5, AJ Hawk.
Okay.
Number 6, Vernon Davis.
Yeah.
Number 7, Michael Huff.
Who?
Safety out of Texas. Went to the Raiders.
Okay.
Number 8, Dante Whitner.
Okay.
Number 9, actually, okay. They're Pro Bowlers. Okay. Number 9 was Ernie Sims, linebacker out of Florida State.
Who was drafted right after Leinert?
Jay Cutler.
Oof. Cardinals missed, didn't they?
Just a bit. Because think about who also was in this draft.
Who else was in this draft? At quarterback?
Getting drafted. Where did he get drafted at? What the crap? Where did he get drafted? My bad, I'm a year off. I was thinking that Aaron Rodgers got drafted in this draft.
Nah, that was the next year, wasn't it?
I was wrong. He was the year after. But Devin Hester got drafted in this one.
Yeah.
So you do have that. And Nick Mangold as well.
The legend.
Longtime center for the New York Jets. So, yeah. No, believe it or not, no one in the first round is in the Hall of Fame.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
And Reggie Bush never went to a Pro Bowl.
Really?
Yep, it's got it marked here. It's got a little guide and everything. So because Mario Williams, Vince Young, DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Vernon Davis, Dante Whitner, Jay Cutler, Haloti Nagata, Chad Greenway, Antonio Cromartie, Tamba Hawley, Davin Joseph, Jonathan Joseph, D'Angelo Williams, Mercedes Lewis, Nick Mangold, and Joseph Adai are all the first rounders who went to the Pro Bowl. Reggie Bush never went.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
All right. Well, that brings the end to another wonderful episode of the Any Given Day podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay tuned for all of our updates and latest videos. And do you have anything you'd like to say, Hunter?
Yeah. Remember, everyone, anything can happen on any given day, on any given play. So, like he said, like, subscribe, comment. We'll see y'all on the next play.